It is not difficult to be jealous of actors' lifestyle, and I'm not talking just about the wealth, fame, and luxurious yacht vacations. I'm talking about their approach to building a physique. When there's a contract with a famous producer on the horizon, they get off the couch and within a few months are able to build a physique that would take us years. Not many of them do strength training every day and watch their diet like Dwayne Johnson, but when the deadline comes for taking the first shots, they get in a complete frenzy. They work out every day, they absorb sick amounts of calories and gain a few dozen pounds within a short amount of time. And what is the best, they are always able to build their physique on time. This is as if, after a whole year of slacking off, someone returned to working out in April and expected to get in shape by the summer. An identical scheme occurred with Tom Hardy during his preparations for the movies Warrior and Bronson. One could imagine that, thanks to the huge budget, the actors have access to the best trainers and dietitians. Although when analyzing several different transformations, including that of Tom, one can notice that it tends to be completely opposite. On top of that, certain changes clearly suggest getting supplemented with anabolics, which is taboo in these circles. Actors either don't talk about it or deny it. What also contributed to these suspicions was Tom Hardy's transformation. From a very skinny guy, he turned into the massive character of Bale in the movie Dark Knight Rises. As a 20-year-old, Tom didn't have much muscle mass. In this regard, he looked similar to both women in one of the 1998 recordings. One could blame it on bad genetics, but not many people know that the actor was struggling with a serious alcohol and crack addiction at the time, which makes it no wonder that his body mass was so low. From that time to the production of the Batman movie, 14 years had passed. That doesn't mean, though, that he regularly visited the gym during that period. His progress arose from short but intense preparations for different movie roles. The first serious changes to the actor's physique occurred during his preparations for the movie Bronson, which premiered in 2008, where he played a brutal prison inmate. The producers wanted to create a character of a massive, muscular man. At first, the titular Bronson was meant to be played by Jason Statham, who at the time was in a much better shape. Tom was given the role just 5 weeks before shooting began, which means he didn't have much time to prepare for it. As he mentions, he would gain more than 6 pounds of mass a week. His diet was based on rice with chicken and pizza washed down with Coca-Cola. Obviously, not even an absolute beginner like Hardy at the time would be able to build muscles at this pace. Because of that, the actor gained a lot of body fat, although his physique wasn't baggy. In certain shots with good lighting, one could even notice the outline of abdominal muscles. For such a short preparation period, he developed an impressive muscle mass, especially on his arms. The characteristic trait of his physique were enormous traps, which definitely stood out against the other parts. Of course, I'm not accusing him of it, but in certain shots, they pretty much look as if they're filled with synthol. In one of the recordings, we can see what his workouts were like. The exercises he did during his sessions with the trainer were reminiscent of those in group fitness sessions. The one where he rests his head on the ground and makes different motions looks as if he was practicing for a role in 50 Shades of Grey. In any case, this was certainly not a plan that would allow us to build a lot of muscle mass. It is mostly like that, on top of these grotesque exercises, Hardy also had some other training. He made his biggest progress for the movie Warrior from 2011, where he played the role of a boxer, Tommy Conlon. Because his character was a martial arts competitor, the actor had to look like a fighter. After all, you have to stand shirtless in the ring. And even the best camera tricks won't turn a 160-pound guy into a muscular boxer. That's exactly how much Tom weighed before starting his preparations. The goal was to get up to 190 pounds. Hardy not only built a lot of muscle mass, but he also stood before the camera with much less body fat than in Bronson. The six-pack on his stomach became clearly visible, and the actor indeed looked like a professional boxer. Based on his statements, the preparations for this production could be described as frenetic. Tom claims that for 3 months he worked out 7 days a week, more or less 10 hours a day. He spent 2 hours on strength training, which this time actually looked like it made sense. In the short snippets available, one can notice the actor doing squats with the barbell, push-ups, or arm bending for the biceps. On top of that, he allegedly spent 2 hours on boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and practicing the choreography for the movie. I believe that this is all nonsense. Tom would have to engage in intense physical activity for most of the day without any rest during the week. Maintaining such lifestyle would be impossible. It is most likely that the actor embellished the reality quite a lot, or he was supplemented with something for better recovery. His diet sounds just as incredible. Hardy mentions eating nothing but chicken with rice and broccoli 6 times a day. His meals were intertwined with a few protein shakes. A normal person would get sick just thinking about the next serving after just a few days of such a menu. No matter where the truth lies, he prepared the best shape in his career for that movie. The next challenge was playing the role of Bane from the Gotham City universe. Here, the goal was to build a massive physique, like in a stereotypical big guy. Over the course of 3 months, he gained 28 pounds. As he mentions, he would ingest enormous amounts of pizza for that purpose. That was when he exceeded the 200-pound threshold and was able to create an image of a massive guy. To a large degree, this was owed to clever light tricks as well as low-angle shots. Just like with Bronson, 3 months is not enough to build large quantities of muscle mass, and most of the weight he gained was fat. Tom mentions that he didn't feel comfortable at this size. Let's focus on the significant changes in weight experienced by the actor. Particularly interesting is the period between the movie Warrior from 2011 and Dark Knight from 2012. As we know, in the former, the actor's weight was around 190 pounds. On the other hand, as a Bane, he weighed in at 198 pounds. And as he admits himself, he gained a few dozen pounds for that role. Which means that after playing the role of a boxer, he had to lose quite a lot of mass. And after all, his shape looked very good and he didn't have too much body fat. It looks as if he got off doping and stopped working out altogether. It is not the kind of physique that couldn't be built naturally. The circumstances in which he did it, however, raises a lot of suspicions. After 5 years since playing the role of Bane, Hardy gave an interesting interview in which he summed up his transformations in hindsight. As he says, such rapid weight gain had a negative impact on his body, for which he is paying the price now. His joints aren't as agile, and carrying his own children isn't as easy as it used to be. He also mentions that if he were to start gaining mass this fast today, he would fall apart like a house of cards. And after all, the actor only has 3 serious transformations to his name, which didn't last longer than a few months. Such words fit better to a strongman or a powerlifter after a career of more than a dozen years. Tom's statement could be interpreted as an analogy to using doping, because nothing else would put this much strain on a body in such short time, especially if the cycle was prepared by the same trainer who was in charge of his workouts for Bronson, which makes it quite likely that Tom Hardy supplemented himself with illegal medications, especially when preparing for the movie Warrior. Let me know in the comments what you think of his transformation.